Super excited to announce the Law Firm Retreat Design Your Future being held this August 5th through 8th, 2026 in the Denver, Colorado area. Teaming up with law firm architects, Power Strategy Group, we're going to be having an amazing opportunity for up to 15 firms to work on the business, not in the business. Find out more at powerstrategygroup.com. Welcome back, everyone. This is your host with Power Up Your Practice Review Powers. And today I have Tim Semelroth, Iowa's only board certified truck accident lawyer. He's a partner at RSH Legal. And his website's fightingforfairness.com, a 20 plus year as a trial lawyer and over 2 decades of practice with a niche practice. We're going to go into that more. Thanks, Tim, for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
So you and I met because we're both adjunct professors of law practice management, right? And how long have you been? How long have you had your firm or been practicing?
So I tell people that I've had the same parking spot for 28 years.
Wow.
I got out of law school. I clerked for a judge, and then I got hired by the two guys who founded this firm, and I've been here ever since. They have both since left the firm. They've retired. We bought them out, and so it's changed a lot since it was just 3 lawyers, but it's definitely been a constantly changing firm over the years.
So you could talk about niching, and you could also talk about taking over a practice, and sounds like we have a lot to learn from you. So what is it? What's changed the most in the legal landscape as a trial lawyer?
Well, I mean, for this firm, we started out as a boutique medical malpractice firm for plaintiffs. And over the years, because of a lot of different factors, everything from tort reform in Iowa to changes in the insurance industry, we realized that we wanted to diversify to make sure that we could continue to have a steady stream of income regardless of what was happening in the state house or in corporate headquarters. So we expanded into all areas of personal injury over the years, whether it's car accident cases, nursing home abuse cases. Then we got into workers' compensation. We have lawyers now that do Social Security disability. And most recently, we added a couple of lawyers a couple years ago who do plaintiffs' employment law cases. So it's all contingency fee work. It's all on the plaintiff side, but we are a one-stop shop for plaintiffs' work in Iowa.
Oh, wow. Okay. So what opportunities exist now that didn't exist 5 or 10 years ago?
This episode is sponsored by Candle AI, the legal email assistant that helps legal teams spend less time on client emails. You heard me right, spending less time on emails. Candle AI works with both Gmail and Outlook, so you don't have to learn a new tool. And then it connects with popular case management systems like Clio, Filevine, iNetSume, and more to come. It instantly shows you your case and the client details the moment you open a client email and right inside your inbox. Then that means less context switching and time spent jumping to different tabs to figure out what you need to respond. Candle can also draft context-aware responses to client emails and makes it easy to create, edit, and manage your email templates. If you want to save time and take back control of your inbox, check out Candle AI. I highly suggest it.
Oh, wow. I mean, so many. Obviously, the one that everybody thinks about is AI. And that works really well in contingency fee practice because we don't bill by the hour. So any efficiencies that we can create in our practice because of AI, we're able to then turn around and either help more people or spend more time with the clients that we do have. And that's where my friend Guy Sakalakis, he coined the phrase, let the bots do what the bots can do so that you can do what the bots can't. And that's really what we have tried to convey to our team here is, yes, maybe it doesn't take as long to draft a complaint or to summarize medical records, but that time should be spent talking to the client on the phone, going and visiting them, making sure that they understand what we're doing for them every step of the way.
Yeah, I love that, and we do have a lot. Guy's my friend too, so a shout out to Guy. But if you, a lot of us are talking about AI, but I love how you're framing it. You know, we should do what we should do best, and what's the best use, highest and best use of our time, and better represent our clients by leveraging it. And the contingency inspires you to be the most efficient possible of all the different fee structures that are out there. So we were you are the Iowa's only board certified truck accident lawyer.
Yes.
So that sounds very specific, very, very niche. Tell us more about, so we wanted to talk about the power of niching. And um, yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about that. I haven't had actually anybody think spend too much time on that concept on our podcast, but like I could think on one hand, you know, there's the pros of being the one who knows how to do that thing. And then on the other hand, there could be a change, like you were alluding earlier, in legislation or case law or whatever, and that could dramatically impact what you're known for. So let's discuss. What is the power of niching, and why do you think a lot of attorneys might resist it in the first place?
Sure. Well, let me share my story for how I got there, and then we can go from there. Because I had been practicing law for almost 20 years when I realized it's like, hey, I just want to take inventory of what do I enjoy most about my practice. And so I realized, well, I enjoy using focus groups, and I'm a graduate of the Trial Lawyers College, so I like bringing clients and doing psychodrama with them. And I love coming up with creative ways to use visual aids in the courtroom. And so I looked at those things that, the things that really got you excited, about getting up in the morning. It's like, hey, I get to do this, or I get to do this. And I realized that, what all of those tools have in common is you really can't do them on a small case. And
Mm.
and when you want to use all those tools, you need to be working on a case with higher stakes. And so I went back and looked at my career and said, okay, when was I able to use these tools? When was I able to do these things? And they tended to be in my truck accident cases, because I had a uh, very diverse personal injury practice. I tell people I've tried everything from car accident cases to legal malpractice cases to medical malpractice cases to dog bite cases. I've and
Mm.
so but I realized when I look back, it's like, hey, I got to do most of those things when I was doing my commercial motor vehicle cases. So what that meant was about 10 years ago, I decided, well, then I want to level up. I'm going to start, flying around the country and meeting the best truck accident lawyers in the country, going to the best CLEs. Eventually, I started speaking at those seminars, meeting more people, and then the Academy of Truck Accident Attorneys. Gosh, I don't know how many years ago now, 5, 6 years ago, worked with the National Board of Trial Advocacy to develop a board certification process. And so I studied for that, took that test, and that's how I became the first board certified truck accident lawyer in Iowa. And at the time, I think I was only one of 40 in the country. And
Oh.
that has really, it's made all the difference in my practice over the course of the past, gosh, 6, 7 years, because everybody who is board certified, we all know each other. We all, we speak at the same conferences. We're on the same listservs. We read the same, periodicals, and so it's a great community to be a part of. And because of that, and I know how much it takes to get board certified. Uh, if I have a case that's outside the state of Iowa, I know who to call. And the benefit for me is that when lawyers around the country are contacted about a truck accident case in Iowa, I'm on the short list of people to call and get involved in that case.
Awesome. So that's like your journey on how you got there. How you I mean, so for people deciding whether or not to stay in a niche or not, like how do you find ways to leverage the pros but minimize the cons?
Well, the pros are there's just a lot less. You can go deep in a subject, I guess is what I mean. There are a handful of the best CLE seminars in truck accident litigation, and so I know to put those on my calendar. There are, whether it's AAJ's Trucking Litigation Journal, or whether it's the website that the Academy of Truck Accident Lawyers have. It's like those are places that I go to for resources. I read those articles. So I feel because that's the type of case that I focused my practice on now, that I can be much more cutting edge. And we have access to so much information now, listservs, podcasts, that it allows me to focus on the ones that are truly important for my practice and my clients.
Yeah. I completely understand. Like even within mine, I'm board certified in immigration, and I was trying to see how many there are in Texas. I think it's around 200 or something immigration board certified immigration attorneys. But just by virtue of becoming board certified and keeping my certification going, I became a better lawyer, and I'm grateful for the process because it was so much different than the bar. Like a lot of stuff I had to study to pass the bar, I don't really use. And the things that I had to do to study, and there was no study exam, like study guide for the board exam. Those are the things that like really push me and make me connect the dots that are probably would have taken me a decade later if I hadn't had the certification process to force me to go to that next step. So I and my senior associate just became board certified in immigration just recently, and so I'm really proud of her. And so if there's a program like that, I think that helps push us to a whole nother level. And I know a lot of people still know a lot, even if they don't have the certification, and there might be some reason why they don't have it, and even though they're an expert in their field. But um, I. I do appreciate programs that and there's only like in some states there have that the certification, or there's different some to area practice areas I don't even think have certification around the
Yeah.
country.
And what I'm sure immigration is like truck accident litigation, in the sense that it's not just passing the test, right? Like
Mhm.
we had to submit the names of lawyers who've been on the other side of truck accident litigation, that could
Mhm.
serve as resources, judges who you've tried truck accident cases in front of, and you have to recertify every 5 years. And so the CLEs that you've gone to, so that gives you a lot of confidence when it comes time to referring a truck accident case, because if somebody's board certified, it's not just that they were good at it once. They are somebody who does it regularly, and somebody who's making an effort to stay on top of their craft.
Have you seen that the board certification has signaled to clients or peers, like has made a difference in the cases that you attract or the cases get referred to you?
Definitely. I get referred cases from lawyers from around the country who I've never met before. But they will either do their own search, or they'll reach out to the Academy of Truck Accident Attorneys and describe the situation. And they'll say, well, Tim's our guy in Iowa, so reach out to him. And so so in terms of referrals from other lawyers, it's a big deal. I think it is important when a potential client does some research on you and they see that you're board certified, that helps as well. But that one thing that you said, what is the downside of
Mhm.
using a niche? And I think what people fear is, well, if I say I'm only going to do this one type of case, then people will stop calling me about other types of cases. And what I will tell you is that has not been my experience at all.
Mm.
It's even though that's your identity, that's what you do. I still get called about workers' compensation cases in Iowa. I still get called about, non truck wrecks. But it is a way to make sure that people know the type of case that you want to do, that you are have special expertise in, but it doesn't prevent you from getting other calls.
So what I've noticed is that within my niche, I guess, of immigration, there were sub niches in it. So that when, for example, during the pandemic, because I think one of the downsides of niching is that if there's a change of a case law or and mine is very impacted by the administration of it being federal law, but I'm also dependent on multiple agencies like the State Department, the Department of Labor, Department of Homeland Security, and Department of Justice. And so if any one of them wants to make some case law changes, policy changes, interpretations of things, or executive action, then it makes an impact on what I can do and my practice. Anyway, so when the pandemic happened, the immigration courts were not digitalized, and so court was down for a while. Or let's say there's a government shutdown. Depending on how the government gets paid, those entities I normally interact with get shut down. So then having the other subsections of within immigration was helpful. But I could think that if you're dependent on just like one legal government entity or one type of case, you could almost be putting all your eggs in one basket and putting yourself at risk.
Oh, that's definitely the case. I mean, the advantage that I have is that I'm part of a bigger firm. And so,
Mm,
if for some reason, the government decided that you could no longer sue trucking companies, it'd be a negative for me personally. But the reality is that the firm would go on, and that's why. That need to have some diversification is why our firm isn't just a medical malpractice firm, because in 2007, uh, one of the major malpractice carriers in Iowa pulled out. They got out of the business, and a new one came in, and it took the position that they were going to try to starve out the people who are not committed to medical malpractice by refusing to settle any case before the courthouse steps. So all
mm,
of the sudden, in the early 2000s, if you were signing up to take a medical malpractice case, that meant you were signing up to spend $50 to $100,000 minimum before you got paid. And so that definitely was a big motivator to us to say, okay, well, we're going to keep on doing medical malpractice, but we need to have other case types that we can rely on. And again, it's because we have strength in numbers with our firm that we didn't start out being the largest injury and disability firm when I started. Like I said, I was the third lawyer in the firm, but we are now, in part because I recognize the value of diversification.
that's so what is the size of your firm, and could you walk us through a little bit of like buying out the former partners, or just like how that worked? Because I try to have some of that on the show because I want people to know some examples of how it's worked.
Sure. So our firm, like I said, was founded by two lawyers, and I was their first associate. They hired me back in 1998. After 7 years, one of those partners left to become a judge. And so then it was
Mm,
just the two of us. And so the guy who founded the firm and me, I became a partner then. And then we started adding lawyers. As we got bigger, we kept on adding lawyers. Eventually, gosh, it's been now maybe 8, 10 years ago, the lawyer who founded the firm said, I think I'm ready to step away from the practice of law. And so another lawyer in my firm and I negotiated a buyout for him. And so it was something where we looked at what the caseload was and decide on a number that was fair to him and fair to us. And so we bought him out. Since that time, we have, as we've grown, because we're now up to 18 lawyers in 3 different cities in Iowa, we a couple of times we have had law firms approach us, and we've actually bought the law firm. And so, it tends to be lawyers who are older, they're looking to wind down their practice. And if it makes sense for them and it makes sense for us, then we'll buy them out. Otherwise, the big way that we have added lawyers has been through laterals.
Mm.
And a lot of times it's laterals who have approached us because they've had cases against us or they know our reputation, and they're asking, hey, have you ever thought about having an office here, or have you ever thought about getting into this type of work? And that's how we've grown.
So tell me more about this buying the firms. I'm like, how does that go about? Like they come up to you or you know them and then like they show the financials or you cozy up and say, show me your numbers or something.
Yeah, well, so they approach us.
Okay.
They say, hey, have you ever thought about buying this practice? A lot of it is because they recognize that we're doing pretty well, or that we have a good foundation, both business wise and marketing wise. And so of course we have to say, well, then you're going to have to share your books with us. And we ask lots of questions about where their cases come from, but the negotiations get very detailed because we are not just buying the cases that they have. We are buying their URL, we're buying their phone number, we're buying their list of past clients, and it's a very choreographed process where we ghostwrite a letter for them, to all of their clients and past clients, letting them know that we're taking over their practice, and then we add them to our marketing lists, our newsletter list, and things like that, and so it works out pretty well. And one of the first practices that we bought was a Social Security disability firm. And
Mm.
the thing about Social Security disability is that you have to work in volume in that business. And so he had a lot of satisfied past clients. And so we were able to expand our mailing list because we do monthly newsletters to a couple thousand people when we bought that practice. So that was helpful.
So how many firms have you bought?
Oh, I mean, I think it's a total of 3, but I mean, they haven't been like big firms, right? Like we've been approached by more than that. And the reality is that for every firm that we have practice that we've bought, we've been approached by twice that many. And a lot of times after we talk to them about their book of business or what they're looking for, where their cases come from, we realize it's not a good fit, because sometimes it can be a wildly
Mhm.
successful firm, but it's a cult of personality, right? It's because this one lawyer has, given himself to this community or this practice for, 35 years. Well, the only reason he's looking to sell is because, he's looking to retire, and you realize that you just can't replicate the fact that, his clients were coming from the fact that his wife taught in the school district for 40 years, or the fact that
Mm.
he did this work for this major entity in this community. So uh, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but it's definitely something where it's not a quick decision. It's something where you have to look and make sure that you're paying for something more than, used furniture and yeah, the current set of clients.
Um, you said used furniture, it made me think about something, but I wanna ask real quick, how long on average does it take from somebody saying, "I wanna buy you," or, "Would you wanna buy me," to finishing the deal? What would you say is about the average?
Oh, I would say probably at least uh 4 to 6 months. But
Oh,
that's if their numbers are together. I mean, the reality
okay.
is a lot of people, when I start asking them where their cases come from, they really don't know. Or, if I
Mm,
ask them about their average case value, they really don't know because, you know, they they've just been focusing on practicing law and doing a good job. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that's, if they're not asking me to hire them, then I have to look at the health of their firm and whether or not it's going to live on once they leave, and that requires having a lot of numbers.
how do you normally require that they stay on for a little bit before they phase out, or do most of them stay on?
Uh, some people, stay. They're sometimes people approach us because they're just looking for infrastructure, right?
Mhm.
But other times people are, the only reason they're looking at this is because they're looking to,
Wait,
to
retire?
to retire. And in that case, it's not a very long process. I mean, if you can't get the institutional knowledge that you need out of the lawyer who's retiring within a year, then you're not buying a practice, you're hiring a lateral.
Mhm. Mhm. And what do you, look for you've alluded to that, but, like, besides, like, a cultural fit and good numbers, like, what are some of the other things you look for when you're deciding whether to buy a practice?
Well, I wanna know where their cases come from. And so I want to know, like, is it because they're getting referrals from other lawyers? If so, who? How old are
Mhm.
they? If they're getting referrals from past clients, then I want to know, well, how are they keeping in touch with those past clients? And if it's marketing, then obviously I want to know about what kind of marketing systems they have. But that's the biggest thing is if because if we can't replicate how they get their clients,
Mm.
then I'm just buying their current inventory.
That's a really good point, especially in your practice area. And that's true. I think some firms don't know exactly where their clients come. Like they'll say word of mouth or whatever, Google or something like that. But like, really, who are the people who are the super referrals out there, and who, like, what are the keywords on Google? Or I mean, now it could be ChatGPT or Claude or some other GEO thing. But back to, you mentioned furniture, and it just triggered something in me. A long, long time ago, I thought like, oh, my firm is, I've got the value of all my furniture, and and when I oh, it's so stupid. And so when I moved from, it was like 3 years ago, from where I was a brick and mortar place for 10 years, I was renting, to the office building I bought. Like, it's a small, cute little house, but I love it. I literally had to pay people to take the furniture away from me because we were getting rid of the big bulky stuff and we wanted more modular, light, the stuff that can push a button, goes up and down. We wanted less. And I think a lot of the old school stuff that you can buy used, and it's nice, but it's like heavy and bulky, and you don't need all of that. And so I don't know. It was funny how I used to equate value to some of that, which really I think it comes down to, it's your book of business, how organized it is, where your business is coming from, what referral sources. But I love how basic, like the way you're explaining it is, like, where does your business come from, and can you replicate that? Because if you can't go be a teacher for 40 years at this local ISD and churn out more business, like, it's going to be hard to keep getting that referral source. If it's as simple as keeping a newsletter going once a month and doing a speech here or there, then maybe it's possible. But it is sometimes hard to deconstruct what people did to build up years and years of their business development strategies.
Absolutely. And the thing that lawyers, I think, completely overestimate is how long your clients are going to remember you. I mean, the
Mm,
reality is that they move on. And if you aren't taking affirmative steps to maintaining the relationship with them, they will forget about you. And the next time that they are somebody that they know has a legal issue, they will start from scratch. They won't think back to, okay, who is that lawyer who helped me 10 years ago? You have to make an effort to stay top of mind.
that's so true, that cultivating that relationship and stay top of mind. Something else I was thinking about with your niche practice is how, well, I guess, like, how do you, whether niche or not, how do you and your firm keep the firm top of mind or let people know about the niche? And just like, what are some of your best practices?
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, so when it comes to past clients,
Uh-huh.
uh, we they get a monthly print newsletter from us.
Print.
Uh, if we have their email address, they get a twice a month e-newsletter from us. If we have their birthday, they get a yearly birthday card from us and they get a holiday card from us. And so we are constant visitors in their inbox and their mailbox. And that will remain until they die or they call us up and say they don't want to be on the list anymore.
Are you feeling overwhelmed by all the different things you have to do to run a law firm? Well, you're not alone. So many law firm owners are in the same boat. That's where Staffy steps in. More than 90 firms, just like yours, are leaning on their bilingual virtual staff for legal, administrative, marketing, and client-facing work, plus their full HR support. I currently have 11 team members with Staffy across my own firm and Power Strategy Group, and it's been a total game changer. Schedule a free initial consultation at staffy.cc, that's stafi.cc, and use the code RUBY, RUBY, for $500 off.
Well, I think we don't send the physical business birthday card, but we had an automation for the e-card, and we do a newsletter in every other week. We don't print the newsletters. So what was the other one? I feel like and we do the holiday cards. And my team wants me to get rid of the holiday cards, but I'm like, but how often do people get like piece of paper for holiday cards? I don't know. I feel like it helps us stand out. It's like so old school. It's cool. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, everybody in my firm is sick of hearing about a guy named Marv Stallman. And Marv Stallman is the guy who sold my parents' insurance when I was a kid. So
Okay.
this is 40 years ago. And the reason why is because I got a birthday card from Marv Stallman every year. And even though he didn't put money in it, like the cards you like to
Sorry,
get when you're
Mark.
a kid.
What
Yeah,
you
it's like
thinking?
I got that card from him and here I am. I'm 54 years old and I've never forgotten his name.
Well, I once worked for a real estate agent when I was young, and he would call people on their birthday every year. And just those little special touches, make you can't forget, like what you're saying. No, that's great. I think I learned a lot on this because of the whole how do you get to your we talk a lot about business development and marketing, but like there's a lot of special touches you can be making. And then the whole idea of where do they come from, but also how do you keep them cultivated? Because you're right. I think after a while the loyalty starts dissipating. And it's also like, for me, I remember general ideas of people, but I don't always remember their name. I'll remember
Mhm.
random facts about like how I might have met them potentially, but like sometimes it takes me a little while to remember who I can refer for someone else. Keeping that all organized is important. Well, is there anything else you want to say about niche or business development or buying practices before we move to the fun facts portion of the podcast?
Well, I mean, the other thing I'll tell you is, I mean, once you know where your cases come from and you know the value of your cases, then you become a lot smarter with your marketing spend.
Mhm.
So what I can tell you is that 25% of my firm's cases are referred by other lawyers. And those cases punch well above their weight in terms of the average case value versus cases that come from former clients or cases that come from general marketing. And so because of that, we have, we take steps like, so I told you what we do for consumers.
Mhm.
We do a special e-newsletter that just goes out twice a month to lawyers. We do a
Mm.
special one-page print newsletter that goes out once a month to lawyers. And we do that because we know it's a good investment because cases referred to us but from other lawyers are historically our best performing cases.
That's a really good point. I think some of them are on my newsletter that are for clients. But you're right. I have a newsletter for lawyers on my power strategy group side, but that's because it's about law practice management. But cultivating those super referrals are so valuable. Some people do lunches or coffees or shoot emails or maybe send a little gift here or there to the ones who are the ones that refer a lot of business, or those holiday cards, or invite them to a party or an event. But yeah, that's a good point. It's cultivating the referral sources and your clients as well. I actually wanted to ask one more thing before we move over to fun fact is about your class. Like, how long have you been teaching law practice management? What got you into it? What are some of your favorite things about it? Because I'm sure it's
Sure.
all awesome.
Sure. So I've been an adjunct at the University of Iowa College of Law for about 20 years, and
Oh, wow.
it started doing trial ad. So I'm a
Okay.
trial ad
Mhm.
teacher, and then it evolved to where they said, "Well, are there any other classes you'd like to teach?" And I said, "Yeah, it's like I'm doing a lot with focus groups. I'd like to teach a class about focus groups. I'd like to teach a class that only deals with jury selection." And so my friend, who was the assistant dean, reached out to me about a year ago and said, "Hey, I'm going to be stepping down. If there are any classes you've ever thought about, any subjects that you would like to teach about, now is the time to go ahead and submit the proposal and get approved and teach it." And I said, "Okay, yeah, I could do something with AI." And I thought about this, and she said, "Tim, those are all good ideas, but I want you to teach a class about legal entrepreneurism because we don't have that, and everybody knows that we have a lot of students who are going out and starting their own practice or considering it,
Mhm.
and they need to understand what it's about." So I actually just taught my first class in that subject last year. It's an intersession class, so it
Mm.
was in between semesters. And what I loved about it was it was really sort of like a show and tell for me. Like because I based it around business books that have been very meaningful to me, podcasts that have been very meaningful to me, and then we did it in the context of the big final project was they had to do a presentation on a practice they would start and explain how they selected it and what systems they would use and who their first hires would be, and it was really really cool. I mean, the ideas the students came up with for their final project were fantastic.
Oh, that's wonderful. And my school, the last school I was at, it was an intersession, and I expanded it to a semester long course. But I weave AI into it as much as possible, so it's sort of like sub AI course as well, because there's just so much that we're doing in our practice area, and it changes all the time. Oh, that's exciting, and I'm glad that we a lot of us found each other that are teaching either law practice management, law firm entrepreneurialism, whatever we're calling it. But to the students so that are empowered, that they could have their own practice or be that right hand as associate, moving up to partner, buy a firm, sell a firm, whatever, like empowering them so they have options to do what they really want to do and not feel like they have to stay in a position just because they don't know how to run a firm. All right, so let's move over to the fun fact questions. What is your favorite board game?
So I'll tell you what I did to prepare for this is I used Notebook LM
All right.
and I threw 5 of your most recent podcasts into
Oh
it.
my gosh.
And
I
then
was
I
about to
asked,
say there's no wrong answer, but I don't know. I was like, what are you
yeah.
going to say?
And so I'll tell you that it told me that you accepted board games or card games.
I do. I
And
do.
so
Mhm.
so the card game I'm going to share is called Sushi Go, which is a,
Interesting.
you know,
Okay.
a pick and match card game. The nice thing about it is you can play it with anywhere from 2 to 5 people. It's a
Okay.
fast moving game. You know, you're keeping score. My wife and I, we have 3 kids. So you need a game you can play with 5, and it's fast paced, and so that, that's a game where, that card deck will come out like after a day of skiing or something like that.
Like how much luck or strategy is it in it?
I would say it's about 50-50.
Okay.
I mean, if you're not paying attention, you'll get whooped, but
Okay.
there's a lot of luck associated with it.
All right, sounds good. No one's answered that question game before. Okay. What is a habit that you believe is contributing to your success?
I am a forever learner. I love to learn. I love to go to CLE programs. I love to listen to podcasts. I love to read books, and I think that that is what keeps me excited about the practice of law. Is that it is a profession that rewards learning, and that's why I think I enjoy what I do.
Awesome. It's a different question, but sometimes it's similar to the last one. But what do you consider your superpower?
Well, I tell people my superpower is that I live in Iowa,
Okay.
because when I get up and speak at conferences around the country, and I say, "My name's Tim. I'm from Iowa." A lot of times, I'm the first person from Iowa they've ever met, and so you know, I typically put up a slide with Caitlin Clark on it and say, "You're welcome, America." But no, it's great because I can be a big fish in a small pond. And I tell people, if you have any legal issue in Iowa, if I don't know the lawyer who's on the other side of you, or the judge you're appearing in front of, it's like I know the person, somebody else in their office, or I know one of the other judges, in that district, and it's just been great. I've been able to have, I've been the president of the Iowa, Trial Lawyers Association. I've been on the commission that selects judges for my district and for the Iowa Supreme Court, and so it's just it's a way. I guess it kind of fits back to the theme of niching, right? It's like
Hmm.
uh, my my knowledge and my relationships run deep because I'm in a state that only has 3 million people in it.
3 million. I feel like don't we have like 3 million in the Houston general area? I don't know.
Oh yeah,
Or maybe
yeah.
you add Dallas and
Houston,
San Jose.
yeah. Houston has more people than Iowa. Yes.
Okay. Oh, I love this Iowa pride. You got the whole flag behind you and everything. That's awesome. I could see that. That's good. Okay, well then, what is your a favorite book or podcast you'd like to recommend since you're such a big learner? Appreciate that.
Well, I'm going to do an oldie but a goodie. This is
Okay.
2016, Atul Gawande's checklist manifesto.
Oh, okay.
uh,
Yeah.
and and that changed my life when I read it. It because I was always somebody who was like trying to come up with lists of this is how you do this, to give to your staff or to give to other lawyers. This is the way we want to do these things to get ready for a deposition or to get ready for a mediation. And first of all, Atul Gawande is a fantastic writer. It's an easy read, but it really does give you a system and a structure for creating checklists, which of course, now are more popularly referred to as standard operating procedures.
I actually referenced his book in my book, so I know what you're talking about, and that's a good one. And it's like so simple yet so critical, and people still forget to do those things. And when we were talking about selling practices, I was we didn't really talk about SOPs, but generally people say the more standard operating procedures that are written down, the more organized the practice is, the more you're actually buying like more of a system instead of just like a book of boxes of contacts or something like that.
Absolutely.
So how can people find you and stay connected with you, Tim?
So I'm on LinkedIn every day. It's easy to message me there. I try to do a post every week about a topic that other lawyers would find interesting, entertaining, instructive. So LinkedIn's the best way. Otherwise, my firm's website is fightingforfairness.com. And you can just contact me through the website if you can't get a hold of me on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate all of the wisdom you shared. There's a lot to unpack between the niching, the evaluating a practice, and for buying, really evaluating where the business development efforts of a firm comes from, and then just that importance of staying connected with your clients and your referral sources, as well as always learning. So and thanks for giving back to the law school for the last 20 years. That's awesome. I've been teaching like 3.5 years, and it's so much fun. I'm actually going to have the law students come to my office tonight as part of our field trip. It's our field trip to come see what an office looks like. So
Very cool.
Yeah, and I'm inviting some former students who graduated from the class, and also former guests that happen to be in Houston, since we have a lot of people Zoom in, but some of them live here. So I'm looking forward to it, but it definitely gives me a lot of joy teaching the course. Well, I appreciate it, Tim. It's great to get to connect with you more, and thanks for everything you shared with us.
You're welcome. Great to have this talk.
All right, everyone, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
Thank you for tuning in to Power Up Your Practice. I'm Ruby Powers, and it's been a pleasure sharing this time with you. We love your reviews, so if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us one and share this podcast with someone else so that they can know what you've been learning on our show. And make sure to check out the Power Up Your Practice book. It's available in paperback and Kindle on Amazon. It's packed with 25 chapters of strategies to grow and streamline your firm. And we also have the free Power Hub community on School to keep the conversation going in between the episodes. So make sure to keep powering up your practice, and we'll see you next time.